went to college in 2000, 2000. I entered the workforce roughly around 2003, 2005. You had a choice. You can still try to pursue corporate America or be an entrepreneur. I think in 2025, you don't have that choice. You may have a luxury depending on what family you were born in, what zip code you were born in, or what school you went to. And so now you have to have a thought process in terms of when you're going to school, when you're getting training, when you're getting experience, whether intern or externship, what are you going to do with that information to really financially secure your home and your future?
Welcome to the Leadership Sovereignty Podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Owens, along with Terry Baylor. In today's episode of The New Glass Ceiling Part 1, Philip Yates challenges us to rethink how opportunity is distributed in today's economy. He also exposes how outdated career expectations collide with modern economic survival. And we are live. Hello, world. Welcome to another exciting episode of Leadership Sovereignty. We have a very, very special guest with us today. Terry, how you feeling?
You know, man, this today, oh boy, we're going to change some lives. I'm pretty sure we're going to change some lives
Without
today.
further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Philip Yates. Welcome to the show, sir. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Hey, good day, gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm just happy to be a part of the Leadership Sovereignty and looking forward to our conversation. For those who have not been fortunate enough to meet, my name is Philip Yates, attorney by trade. So, my background, I do corporate law, bankruptcy law, but my passion is economic development, community work, and I'm also the co-founder of Equal Liberty, which is a fintech startup that does a lot of work around convening capital inside our communities and really underserved, targeted communities that just, quite frankly, don't get the investments they deserve. And so outside of that, I'm a dad of two and a husband for going on 10 years this year.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
So, we have a lot to talk about today. So we're going to talk about the new glass ceiling in corporate America. I know that's going to pique a few ears and interest. I know it piqued mine. So how about let's just talk about leadership in this generation, Phil. I mean, what comes to mind for you when we bring up that topic?
Yeah, when we talk about the glass ceiling, I think about my dad, honestly, and I grew up with a mom and dad for majority of my childhood, but much like a lot of our colleagues, eventually my mom and dad went their separate ways. But growing up, I remember seeing my dad, enter corporate America and having to work his way up and try to ascend as far as he could, and that was his whole goal. Like there was never there was no thought of entrepreneurship. They didn't have the risk appetite to do something like that. And so when you talk about leadership in this generation, I think it's not a choice. I think when we were entering the workforce, for me, it was, I went to college in 2000, 2000. I entered the workforce roughly around 2003, 2005. You had a choice. You can still try to pursue corporate America or be an entrepreneur. I think in 2025, you don't have that choice. You may have a luxury depending on what family you were born in, what zip code you were born in, or what school you went to. And so now you have to have a thought process in terms of when you're going to school, when you're getting training, when you're getting experience, whether intern or externship, what are you going to do with that information to really financially secure your home and your future? And so I think that's where we're at, gentlemen, with this generation. They don't have a choice. And now they're having to use this digital age or information technology to kind of hack that process.
That's so good. I have this conversation very often, actually, in that, when, again, our parents' generation, they had a specific trajectory. They wanted to get into a company long term, right? Do their time, get their pension. My dad, great, he was fortunate enough to be able to retire, I think within 2 years ago now. And he still had a pension, but he's like probably the last one, right? And he was like 40 years in on the job. That does not exist anymore.
Wow.
It just absolutely.
No. You'll be lucky if the company is around 40 years from now.
Exactly.
That's right. And my dad had he had a different landing, right? So it's, so I told you he entered the workforce, and my dad was in banking, so he moved from Pittsburgh. And if you guys are familiar with the Northeast, or some people call that Midwest, a lot of that was around the steel industry, and so a lot of those
Mm-hmm.
jobs in the factory, and obviously with technology, those jobs started to go away in the late '70s, early
Mm-hmm.
'80s. So he migrated to Texas, got into corporate America, ascended all the way to like senior leadership, where he was one of the more successful, especially African American
Mm-hmm.
bankers in the city of Houston.
Wow.
But to Ralph's landing of his dad, my dad had a different landing where the times have changed, demographics have changed, and so the demand change of the job. And it wasn't, it wasn't his the way he would have wrote the
Mm-hmm.
script in terms of when he retired. But he
Mm-hmm.
is retired now and doing very well. But I just
Mm-hmm.
remember him going through that transition. But it's to this conversation, that generation wasn't prepared what that landing looked like, because the landing looked like, like we said,
Right.
the
Right.
gold watch, the retirement party, the
Yeah. Yeah.
pension,
Yeah.
and
That's
everybody
right.
throw you a party. They celebrate, we love you. No, now they're kicking
That's
you out
right.
the door because they're trying to save money, or they're trying to
Yes.
appease their consumers or the
I
community.
tell people, especially young people, all the time, because I have 4 children, and they're in between the ages of 23 and 28, right? So they're all fresh in the workforce. And now,
Good, brother. I know you got
young,
kids.
man.
Man, you did something right, because I have my friends started young. They still don't look as good as you. So that melanin is rocking.
But I tell them,
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes,
listen,
sir.
you have to understand that your career is your responsibility. It is not your employer's, right? If you're expecting your employer to put you in a situation where you're going to get to the end destination of where your career goal is, you're making a mistake, right? You have to approach this from a proactive perspective of, this is where I want to go. This is where I want to end up. And this is the path that I'm going to take to get it there, right? And to your point, Phil, it is not what the previous generations actually went through. So they have to take a different approach. But Terry, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I got a 21-year-old, and so she's home for a few weeks from school, and I'm like, hey, let's do a daddy-daughter day, right? And so our thing was Chick-fil-A. So we went and sat at Chick-fil-A, and so we're just talking. I'm like, what's this final year going to look like? And she was like, Dad, to be honest, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm like, that's okay. It's okay that you're still figuring it out, because that's really what college is about. It it's not about you leaving out with a fully flushed out plan the way they want you to craft your box, right? They want to have you be a cog in a system that perpetuates their success. And so, what I explained to her, look, that's your box. You are an amazingly creative individual. If you want to put dirt in that box and plant a garden, then do that. If you want to put wheels on that box and create the next electric car, do that. If you want to, inside of the profession that you are studying, intersect that with your creativity, your art, your music, your coaching, make that box as fluid and creative and spontaneous and exciting as you are as a person. The institution is just giving you a framework, right? They don't know you. They don't know what inspires you, what drives you. So make the box whatever you want it.
Good.
It's your box.
I love that. I hope when you guys share this with the audience, that's a clip in itself. And I have a question for you, gentlemen, just based off of that. I know we had some talks backstage before we started. Given the fact that your kids are older and the experience you guys have, leaders in your communities, your households, and the workforce, I mean, even what you're doing here on this platform, I think you guys said you're at 130 or over in episodes. My kid, my daughter's turning 8 this week, so I told you guys I have a birthday party to celebrate. My son graduated from kindergarten. He's going to lower elementary or first grade. What advice do you have for parents? Because when we talk about the glass ceiling, a lot of it is, not only setting realistic expectations for ourselves as leaders, but in my home, I wonder now, what do I tell my daughter and my son when they say, hey, what do you want to be when I grow up? I want to be this, that, or officer, a police officer, a lawyer, a doctor, engineer. Like, what advice would you give to parents who have younger children regarding this conversation?
I'm gonna let Ralph take this first, because I'm taking tips from you, bro. You got 4 of them out the house. Let me listen. Let me listen. Let me get my notebook right now.
Right,
Come on.
right.
I think the first thing, man, is and just let me preface this by reminding our audience that we always look at everything from a spiritual lens here, right? Our job as parents is to find the seed of greatness that's in our children. Sometimes we want to mold it for them. Oh, you're gonna, because like in the Jewish community, oh, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be a lawyer, right? And they literally tell their kids. Matter of fact, I saw an interview I thought was really interesting. They talk about how they introduce their kids when their kids are young. This is Sarah. She's gonna be a future doctor. So they start indoctrinating their minds with what it is that they're supposed to be. But I believe, me and my wife believe that God has already put a seed of greatness in each one of your children. We've all seen families where all of them can be raised in the exact same home and they all go in three different directions, right? That's because they all have their own individual seed of greatness that's inside of it. Our job is to discover and develop, right? We have to take the time to figure out what naturally comes easy for them, what they're naturally attracted to, and then develop that, because that's the thing that they're going to be the greatest at in life. And there's always a positive way of doing anything, right? So if I had to go back and do it all over again, spend more time discovering and developing. You will see that their natural passions will kick in and they'll just take off, right? If they are doing the thing that they were already naturally created to do. And we spend enough time with our kids, well, we know, right? So like one of my daughters, Raven, when she was coming up, she just loved to write. Her teachers would always say, her writing is off the charts. And it wasn't something that she like, okay, I'm gonna be the best writer in this class. It was like, oh, I just love to do it, right? Well, today she's a journalist, right? And it's working out perfectly, right? That sort of thing. So that would be the best advice that I can give, man. Don't try to force them into a mold that we think is best, but discover the seed that God put in them and cultivate it, right? So that when they get ready to get out there, they can take it further. Yeah, Terry, I mean, your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, Ralph, I love that. I think that is so true. Matter of fact, I was journaling yesterday, and I basically wrote that. I wrote that very thing. God, thank you for the God-given dream, right?
Yeah.
Because it's in there. It's in there. And so as you were stating that, of course, I was thinking about myself. And one of the things that I've always done this, no matter where I've been in life, and I'm actually doing it now. And I'll just tell this story. So I was 15, and one of my older brothers started a baseball team. And I said, hey, man, I'll help you coach that team. Now, I'm playing baseball myself, right? Because baseball was my passion. Anyway, he had one of those jobs where, and man, I thought about this. I'm like, I think I'm going to call him and give him a hard time because he worked for Rent-A-Center. And I'm like, that job was just tormenting people. That was a terrible model for folks who had to go to Rent-A-Center. I'm thinking, you paying 20 years for a couch? What is going on here? Anyway, and that kind of goes back into really this conversation, really about just being a cog in a system. But so the job that he was working, he could not commit to the team. So I'm 15, right? I'm coaching the team. Like, I'm the head coach. I'm coaching guys that are 13. Here's what was interesting about that. I actually thought about this story in relationship to our conversation today. What about those 13-year-olds gave them confidence to follow a 15-year-old? Because in between the games, I'm out playing with them just like we just all kids at that point. I realized the seed that God has placed in me is leadership. It is mentorship. It is building people. I've done that and so that team, what was so amazing about that team, man, we went all the way to state. We came in second place. A 15-year-old coaching some 13-year-olds took second in state. So to your point, Ralph, I didn't realize it, but that coaching and that nurturing and that development of people, the love of people, God placed that in me. And I'm looking at what we're doing today. It's essentially the same thing.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership Sovereignty Podcast. If this content blessed or helped you in any kind of way, support us today by subscribing to our YouTube channel, clicking the like button for this episode, and sharing this content with others that you think it will help. Until next time, stay safe, peace, and blessings.